Hello! I'll be showing you how to make two one-piece desserts, the bread crust Luffy and Zoro love and Ganfor's pumpkin juice. Starting with the pumpkin juice, you'll need a Japanese pumpkin with a deep green rind which feels heavy and between 3 to 4 pounds. Mine was 3.5 pounds. Put the whole pumpkin in the microwave for 3 to 4 minutes to soften the skin to make it easier to cut. Don't worry, it won't explode for that short amount of time. Let the pumpkin cool in the microwave for a few minutes, then take it out and cut it in half. If you don't have a microwave, you can put the pumpkin in a preheated 375°F oven covered with foil for 15 minutes to soften it. Scoop out the seeds and pith out of the half you're going to use. If you're not going to use the other half, you can scoop out the seeds and pith, wrap it in saran wrap, and put it in the fridge for 2 to 3 days or in the freezer for 1 month. Cut the half into another half. Cut off the pumpkin skin with a sharp knife. If the skin is a little hard to cut off, you can put it in the microwave for another 30 seconds to soften it. After you cut off the skin, you'll cut the pumpkin flesh into 1/3 inch thick pieces. If you're cutting like I am, you'll cut the longer pieces in half so they'll fit in the small pot you'll be using to cook it. Put 300 grams of pumpkin in a small pot, which is half my pumpkin. Add 300 milliliters of water into the pot. Move the pumpkin pieces in the pot so that they're all submerged in water, then put the pot on your stovetop. Put a cover on the pot, then turn the stovetop heat on to medium to let the pumpkin simmer until it's soft. The pumpkin is soft enough when you can break it easily with a chopstick or a fork. Once it's soft enough, turn off the stovetop and let the pumpkin cool down in the pot. Once it's cool enough, you can put the pumpkin pieces and the pumpkin fluid in the pot into your blender. Add 2 tablespoons of sugar to the blender. Add 2 tablespoons of honey to the blender. If you don't want it too sweet, add 1 tablespoon less of each as the pumpkin is naturally sweet too. Blend everything together until it thickens. Pour the thickened pumpkin juice evenly in 2 cups. About halfway through each cup, you'll level out the liquid in the cup by shaking the cup a little. After you're done, you'll put the cups in the fridge to chill, at least for 1 hour. You'll add the finishing touch to the pumpkin juice after it's chilled and before serving. While we wait for the pumpkin juice to chill, let's start on the bread crust. Line a cooling rack with paper towel. If you don't have any bread crust already available, you can cut it off pieces of bread. The number of fried bread crusts is up to you. I went with 8 pieces from 2 slices of bread, while Sanji went with 24 pieces with 6 slices of bread as he had to fill Luffy's and Zoro's huge appetite. In a small frying pan, you'll add enough frying oil to cover the bottom of the pan. Put the pan on the stovetop, then turn it on to medium heat. Optimal frying temperature is 340°F, but if you don't have a thermometer, you can stick a wooden chopstick in the oil and if small bowls form around it, you are ready to fry. Put the bread crust in the pan without overcrowding the pan and fry each side of it to a golden brown. Flip the crust frequently to see how brown they are and to not let it burn as they do brown quickly in the hot oil. Add more oil as necessary to fry more bread crusts. Transfer the fried bread crust to the paper towel on the cooling rack to soak up the excess oil. When all the bread crusts are fried and transferred to the cooling rack, you'll dust them with cinnamon sugar. When one side of the bread crust is dusted, flip it over to the other side to dust as well. The cinnamon sugar sticks on the bread crust a little better after it comes out from the pan still hot and after you wipe off the excess oil. So if you plan to make a bigger batch of bread crust, you'll want someone's help to dust the cinnamon sugar on the bread crust while you're frying, or if by yourself, fry, stop frying, dust, and repeat. Scoop out a small serving of condensed milk as dipping sauce for the bread crust. The condensed milk I had on the side was a little older than I thought, so I was surprised when I opened the can to find it brown in color but still edible. The last step for our desserts is completing the pumpkin juice by adding milk on top of it. If you didn't have lots of time to let the pumpkin juice cool in the fridge before serving like I did, you want to slowly add the milk on top of the pumpkin juice. For presentation, you want to keep the pumpkin juice and milk separate, and directly pouring it up high from a milk carton will likely mix it. Time to enjoy our one-piece desserts, starting with a bite of the fried bread crust. Itadakimasu! Sweet and crunchy. The crunchy outside and soft inside of the bread crust gives a good mouthfeel, and the cinnamon sugar makes it a nice sweet treat. Try it with the condensed milk next. You still get the crunchiness, but the extra sweetness from the condensed milk coating the already sweet bread crust is a little too much for me. I prefer eating the fried bread crust with the cinnamon sugar coating by itself rather than with the condensed milk too. If you don't have cinnamon sugar, you can use plain sugar to give the fried bread crust the sweetness it needs. Let's try the pumpkin juice next. First, we'll try the pumpkin part without the milk. The pumpkin part is quite sweet. We did add sugar and honey to an already sweet pumpkin after all. Okay, now that we tried just the pumpkin part, let's mix it together with the milk to see how the flavor changes. If you want to make the drink less sweet, you can use 1 tablespoon of sugar and honey instead of 2. Though it's likely the pumpkin part is more viscous due to 2 tablespoons of sugar and honey. If you don't need it to be a thicker and super sweet drink, you could simply mix the blended pumpkin and milk together. When the drink is mixed, the sweetness is mellowed a little, but the sweetness of it still hits you like a Gear 4 Luffy. Overall, it was a 5-star chopper, easy to make dessert. For taste though, I give it 3 choppers due to how sweet everything is, and when you eat a sugar-covered fried bread crust dipped in sweet condensed milk and take a swig of sweet pumpkin juice, it's way too much sweets in one dessert. I think eating the cinnamon sugar fried bread crust and drinking the pumpkin juice at separate occasions is not a problem. Here are the ingredients you'll need to recreate this recipe to make and enjoy too. For the pumpkin juice, you'll need 300 grams net of cut up and skinned Japanese pumpkin, 300 milliliters of water, 2 tablespoons of honey, 2 tablespoons of sugar, and milk. You can adjust the sweetness by using less honey and sugar. For the bread crust, you'll need as many bread crusts as you want to make, cinnamon sugar, condensed milk, and frying oil. There's no exact number on the ingredients for the bread crust as it's based on personal preference. Support the mangaka by buying the One Piece Cookbook by Sanji, which we'll link to in the description. Have you watched our other One Piece cooking videos based on the official One Piece Cookbook by Sanji? Enjoy watching them, there are links in the description. Follow along as we make more cooking videos with Sanji's recipes from the East Blue and review eating them too. Until next time, see ya!